when at the base of Mount Sinai, after they just heard the words of God from the mountain for themselves, they took off all their golden bracelets and anklets and earrings and nose rings, and they tossed them into a cauldron in a fire, and they melted it down. And then God's high priest, Aaron, took that molten gold and poured it into a form, and he said, "Oh, look at this. A golden cow, a golden calf. Here's Yahweh who brought you out of the land of Egypt." And the people feasted, and they drank, and they danced and partied, and they celebrated Yahweh, the golden calf. And repeatedly, in their history, they turned again and again to idol worship, setting up for themselves objects of veneration, exchanging the true presence of God for what they could hold and manipulate in their hands. And ultimately, it was the desecration of the temple with graven images that led the people of Israel into exile in Babylon. Idolatry. Now, I seriously doubt that any of us today are tempted to bow before the gods of Canaan. You're probably as disturbed by the depictions of them as I am. Nobody wants to bow to Baal. Nobody wants to bow to Asherah. Nobody wants to worship Chemosh. But the gods of the American church tend to be just as disastrous as the ancient gods were to the people of Israel. You could see them happen in every place, how little by little they take the throne of God's people's praise. Things like fame. Preachers compare themselves to each other by how many people were at church on Easter Sunday, and what kind of meetings and events we get invited to speak at and pray for. We idolize attendance. Like, at the end of the day, that's what matters to the Lord. How many people are here or there? We idolize money and buildings. And we set up a system to support those idols. We have our own priests. They're called pastors. And they exchange the blazing hot truth of God's glory as revealed in the gospel and in the Holy Scriptures for slick PR presentation and pragmatism. And if the goal is to grow the church or to grow the budget or to build a building, hey, I got just a fix. And little bit by little bit, the worship that God says He deserves and desires, pure, unadulterated, and undivided, gets scattered. In the process, we assure ourselves that we're reaching the lost and building the kingdom. But in the end, our worship is all about us. And so if we want to see God move the way we want to see God move over the next 18 months or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years or 20 years or 50 years, then in humility before the Lord, I think we need to ask, are we taking our worship seriously? Does God really receive from us the undivided and unadulterated worship that He deserves and desires? Because when we take it seriously like that, God will move in power. And that's what you want, and that's what I want.